Recently, I just came back from a 10-month backpack around New Zealand. Something I've been wanting to do for quite some time. From beautiful sort of coastal views to gorgeous mountain and forestry. This was definitely one of the prettiest countries that I've been to, which is why you see about 5.1 million tourists come and go to the country per year. Depending on your intentions towards visiting this great country, it has a little bit of everything for everyone, from sort of extreme sports like bungee jumping and skydiving, which I did in my time in New Zealand, which I will leave in some links for you guys to sort of look at. There is an abundance of activities to do, like leisurely walks and hikes. I, for one, was into the hikes and something I want to do over my little journey and backpacking for the foreseeable future. And this brings me to the sort of topic of discussion for this video, which is the top 10 hikes/walks that I did while I was in New Zealand. It should also go without saying that this is a subjective view. There's no real objective opinions, so please leave comments below in the comment section and leave a list of your top 10 hikes, and let's respect everyone's opinions, and let's talk about how great these hikes are, and express our love for sort of these activities. It also should go without mentioning that I wasn't able to do a lot of these hikes, so choices you may have expected to see, however, due to reasons I will get into, wasn't able to do. I'll give them a special mention in the video, and that's where we are going to talk about the walks and hikes. So here are my top 10 walks/hikes. Honorable mention starting. Tongarina Alpine Crossing. One of New Zealand's most premium one-day walk treks, located in the North Island and regarded among one of the top 10 single-day hikes in the world. This beautiful gem boasts Lord of the Rings Mount Doom, and you can see why Peter Jackson decided to choose this location for his film. Brims with atmospheric volcanic area, multicolored rocks, interesting vegetation, and small craters, the hike is considered to be rich in both cultural identity and awe-inspiring beauty, located in New Zealand's oldest natural park. Unfortunately, the peak times to do this 19.4 kilometer hike is from October to May, with the winter months exposed to heavy snowfall and sufficient alpine hiking skills needed or a recommended tour guide to be hired, which can cost you around $300. It should also be noted that with the enormity of this walk, you start at Wakapapa Village and finish at Ketatahi Car Park, with a loopback option going back the exact same way you came, adding on an extra 7 hours and 19.4 kilometers to your hike. Not ideal. With that said, shuttle bus services run from October to May and can vary from $35 to $120, depending if you leave from Lake Taupo, to help you back to your vehicle. And with my visit being in late August, it was kind of hard to commence with this alpine crossing hike. Long story short, money, transportation, time of season were all factors as to why I was unable to do this alpine crossing, and it's something you should all consider if you want to think about doing this hike. There are other smaller hikes within the national park that you could do, which are shorter but still have the same pleasant effect, which is where I will get into more later on in the video. Abel Tasman. Named after the Dutch explorer of the same name, this beautiful coastal national park boasts a different array of activities, golden beaches, and a multiple-day hike that is surely one of the most spectacular walks you will ever do. Much of the discussion points, unfortunately, in the previous entry can be copied and pasted here. I was also eager to do the Queen Charlotte track. However, I was the only willing participant of the day with this tour company that I wanted to do it with, which made it not feasible for them. And unfortunately for me, I was unable to do it. And it should also be noted that I was based in Picton, so I was about 3.5 hours out from Abel Tasman itself. So that, mixed with scheduling conflicts, unfortunately translated to me having to miss out on both these tracks. Mount Cook, Mount Aspiring, Blue Pools, and West Coast in general. The west coast of New Zealand is stunning and full of national parks and different activities. And of course, the mountain views everywhere you drive. It makes it one of the nicest areas that you'll ever drive, one of the most nicest landscapes you'll ever drive around in the world. Simply stunning. With plenty of hikes to do in this area, it was sort of high on my list to venture out and explore this area, like the Blue Pools and other sort of hikes in Mount Cook. And unfortunately, the West Coast is an untamed natural wilderness of rivers and rainforest, which is subjected to severe weather and rain. Queenstown was subjected to a month's worth of rain in 2 days, which saw the entire Highway 6 from the Haas Pass to Wanaka be closed due to 20,000 cubic meters worth of waste washing onto that highway. Unfortunately so. This resulted in me having to sort of cut back on my adventure, which is one of the reasons why it impeded on my heli hike from Hans Josef Glacier. So weather played a big part in the inability to explore this beauty in its entirety. Unfortunately so. So please be mindful of that whenever you guys decide to travel in New Zealand, and especially in the South Island, which is no kept secret that the weather is not the greatest at times. Now, with that said, here, let's get into the crux of the video. So here are my top 10 hikes and walks to do. Number 10, Mclaren Falls Park. Located in the North Island, about 20 minutes outside of Toronto, the Mclaren Falls Park is a beautiful little walk. Only 45 minutes in its entirety, the park is filled with little walks that turn out to be quite the adventure. Starting off by the lake, the path goes for about 1 kilometer until you hit the lake, where there is a loop that takes you around its circumference, which is surrounded by beautiful trees, big trees that are sticking out from inside the lake, and shrubbery and green plants. From there, you will find a small bridge that points you into the direction of the Mclaren Falls, hidden in overhanging ferns and forestry. That is small yet pleasant. One section of the walk will take you on top of the hill that outlooks onto a landscape that looks straight out of a postcard, which reminds me of the rice fields found in Bali. A quiet yet beautiful place where you can sit and relax. This is a lovely sort of lunch spot to have, and a nice quiet walk to do if you are looking for something more chilled out on your adventure. Number 9, Nelson's Lake National Park. So taking in my number 9 spot is a little national park that deserves a bit more recognition with its awe-inspiring beauty, and it's a small little slice of paradise when you get to come across it. Located about an hour and a half from Picton, this little spot has something for everyone, where you can actually swim inside the lake, do some hikes around the area, which can range from 1 hour to about 2 days, And there is even a campsite for self-contained only vehicles. So you can even spend the night if you have one of those vehicles present with you. With this little walk, with this little national park, it is definitely filled with a lot of adventure and a cool place to explore if you have the time and are passing through this area. Number 8, Mount John Summit Circuit. This little walk located in the South Islands, the Mount John Summit Circuit is sort of found at the foot of Lake's Edge Holiday Park, and it is seriously one of the most gorgeous places I've ever been to. It is honestly the prettiest sight you'd see, and if you are sort of passing through, Lake's Edge Holiday Park is sort of the only place that you can get that is on the edge of Lake Tecalpo, where you are just surrounded by this beautiful mountainside, and sort of the only place where you can stay, with other surrounding campsites sort of close by, but nothing that's on the lake's edge. So for only $45 a night, you should be able to stay there, but you won't be disappointed with the views. The holiday park is really the only option you have for the camper hands, which, if you are looking for an app, I recommend you download Campmate for more options if you are on a budget. With that said, the walk does have car parking and is close to the city centre, so if you want to park somewhere else, there are those options. The walk sort of starts off through the forest, where you will eventually elevate into open fields that have the lake as your backdrop for about 1 hour. It is simply stunning view from the first part of the walk, and makes you feel like you're in a Wonderland movie, just full of peaceful tranquility and calm stillness. It can be a little bit uneven in places and rocky, however the grading of the walk is easy to moderate depending on your fitness. You will walk uphill in some places, but once you hit Mount John Observatory, it's sort of downhill from there, and you pass through the forest that is there. But this is a really nice little walk to do if you've got nothing in the Lake Tecalpo area to do, or just looking for something more chilled out again. It's about 2 hours in its entirety, but you are literally surrounded in absolute beauty. It is just gorgeous, this walk, and I would highly recommend it for anyone that is passing through the Tecalpo area. And number 7, Tama Lakes. So you guys remember how I said at the beginning of the video I couldn't do the Tongarina Alpine Crossing? Well, I think I managed to do the second best thing, which is Tama Lakes. So Tama Lakes is another shorter walk found within the Tongarina National Park. It is a 5-hour return trek that surely will not disappoint. You will need to go to the DOC visitor centre found in Wakapapa Village, as you will be there for longer than 3 hours, which is the time limit that you have to park there. This little hike is just amazing. So you would start off by walking for about 1 hour through forestry until you get to Taranaki Falls, which is very picturesque, and a lot of people get a heap of photos from this little area. Then sort of for another hour or so, or another half an hour, you'll start winding and snaking around, and you will be just taken away by all of the mountain landscape that is at your backdrop. It is such a cool place to sort of see the Tongariro Alpine crossing routes, and on top of that, you can sort of see why Peter Jackson decided to pick this spot as a film location for The Lord of the Rings, as sort of the greyish rocks makes you feel like you are part of the Lord of the Rings movies, as it just blends in nicely and feels kind of drab and dreary, but overall makes the experience a whole lot better and funner, and it just reminds me of Mount Doom, and that's a good thing because it's just a really cool walk. So for the next couple of hours, you'll snake yourself around until you find a crossroads that points out the continuation of the track for the long haulers. We're about 20 minutes from there. Lower Tama Lakes is there. And another 45 minutes on top of that is Upper Tama Lakes, which acts as the endpoint of this walk. It should be noted that the last part of this hike is quite hard, as you are literally walking on uneven rock. But the Tama Lakes walk is quite easy in nature. It's just the last 45 minutes going up to Tama Lake, to the upper Tama Lake, is quite enduring. But once you get to the top, you should be able to get a really cool panoramic view and panoramic photos of both lakes. As you once you sit down there after going through that last hurdle, it is so rewarding and so brilliant to just take it in. It is a bit cold, but once you get over that, it is seriously beautiful and a great alternative if you are just wanting to do smaller walks within this national park. Number 6, Blue Springs, Te Waiho Walkway. So coming in my number 6 spot is a natural wonder that needs to be seen in its full glory, and that is the Blue Springs. A 1-hour drive from Hamilton and Toronto, this walk is a 3-hour return trip that follows the Waiho River, meandering through swampland, native forests, and private farmlands. This is one of the most stunning walks you could do. With the crystal clear water accounting for 70% of New Zealand's drinking water, flowing through the blue and green vegetation, it is profoundly present, making it one of the most unique scenes to witness during your time on this walk. It is utterly mesmerizing as the dynamics of the vegetation mixed with the crystal clear water just makes for a beautiful scene and one of the most unique sort of experiences you would come across. It is a very hot tourist destination, so there will be a lot of visitors at your time, but apart from that, the best sort of entrance to get from this track is from White's Road, being the best mode of entrance, as the track is about 4.7 kilometers long and travels along the riverside for its entirety. Staying at a constant 11-degree temperatures throughout the winter and summer months, the Blue Springs looks like an appealing spot to swim. However, during the rise of popularity between 2014 and 16, the destruction of the springs were damaging local ecosystems found within the springs, forcing the Waikato government to eventually ban swimming in 2016 to help with the regrowth. And I'm glad that they did, because it has fully gone back to how it was before. Yay for us. So you guys can pleasantly do a trade trip walk around and take in this natural beauty in its full glory, and you surely won't be disappointed. So please put this on your to-do list when you travel New Zealand. Number 5, Franz Josef Glacier. Coming in at number 5 is Franz Josef Glacier. I won't get into much detail about this as I have done a video on it, which you can sort of watch in the links provided above. This is the only sort of paid entry on my list, coming in at about $575 for the Franz Josef heli hike. It is only one of 2 places that sort of allows you to hike on top of the glacier, but it is a spectacle and an activity recommended to do as the glacier is receding. So try and hop on it as much as possible, as it may not be here for much longer. So if you get the chance to do so, please consider doing this wonderful tour. It will definitely be worth your while. Number 4, Hooker Valley Track. So my number 4 pick is located in Mount Cook National Park in the country's South Island. This is the gorgeous little Hooker Valley Track. One of the only tracks I could do, unfortunately, while I was in the South Island. It's definitely worth the wait, as everywhere you see, you are met with probably the most beautiful part of the world, the South Island. Just everywhere in the South Island is nothing but mountain terrain, snow-capped mountains, and just some of the most stunning views that you've probably seen a million times before on Instagram or YouTube or any other travel-related content creator that you've come across. It looks straight out of a postcard. There are so many spots for you to get so many cool pictures of this fabulous area. With its rugged landscape, majestic mountains, snow, icebergs, and glaciers, it is what makes this walk so special. 3 hours in return, 1 hour and 16-minute drive from Lake Taupo. The walk is a bit slippery due to the icy track and can be dangerous. So you will cross some swim bridges and lots of people in the area, through the surrounding area. So it is what makes the walk so high on the list, just these surrounding areas that you come across. It is dangerous, so please be mindful and please wear the appropriate footing with lots of people around, as previously stated. At the end of the walk, you will come to Hooker Lake, which is 3 degrees in temperature. So it is a prime time to get as many photos as possible, as everything coming together, the whiteness of the snow, the calm and clear water, and the sun makes it a magical experience. Sit in and take in the atmosphere. It is a treat worth seeing, but can be a little chilly, so please pack the appropriate wear, and also please pack a snack, because this would be a absolute fantastic, fabulous lunch spot. Number 3, Duke Nose Kaiara Track. Duke Nose makes it in my top 3 list, as it is quite challenging yet a rewarding little hike. Located in Northland, 35 minutes away from Waipapa, unfortunately for me, I wasn't able to complete this hike due to weather conditions, which is something you should be mindful of, as some of these obstacles can hinder your ability to do this walk. Some of the forums have stated that it can take 5 to 6 hours. I would recommend allowing 7 due to the track's obstacles being a factor, and the time of day that you start also being mindful of, as it could hinder or make your hike a reality. The track itself is moderate to hard, with the beginning of the hike starting from Campbell Road Car Park in Totara North, immediately going uphill for 20 minutes on a gravel road until you reach the Karioi cleaning station. And then things start to get muddy, where for 20 minutes of still uphill walking, you'll come across the Wairaku streaming track sign. Then you have a 1.5 hour walk. This walk will take you through the native forestry, where the track has some very steep peaks, narrow pathways, and dips in the ground, descending and ascending, while still being muddy, so it is recommended to be cautious on your journey. The tangle vines in the ground during on the pathways and dips descending and ascending make it quite difficult in nature, but once you settle into the walk, you will eventually get to the stream, which you'll have to cross and can be uncrossable depending if it's been raining the night before. Yes, you do have to cross a river, and that is one of the reasons why I had to sort of get back off the track as soon as possible. So depending of heavy rain or not, it's still something to be mindful of. Then once you cross the river, it can get quite boggy, but once you settle into the second part of the track, it's about 50 minutes to Lane Cove Hut, where there you can sit and have a wonderful lunch by the lake, or staying at the hut itself. And from there, it is a 1 hour ascend all the way up to Duke Nose. 12.4 kilometers in nature. The hike itself is wonderful, and here are some pictures of what it's like on top. And if you want to do water taxi, you can do that, and it will only take you 2 kilometers, but whatever is more easily accessible for you. Number 2, Karioi Summit Track. Number 2 on my list is one of my personal favorites, and that is the Karioi Summit Track. The hike can be found in New Zealand's famous surf coastal town, Raglan, 27 minutes from the city centre. The track offers some of the most spectacular views of ocean and land you'll ever see. Everywhere you look, it's just beauty. The difficulty level I would give this is extremely hard, and it's not for the faint-hearted. A 5 to 6 hour slog, only attempted if you are a sound fitness, an experienced hiker, and confident enough to climb in some areas of this hike. About 1 hour into the walk, which is an estimation based off my own personal speed, you will reach a ladder that descends at a sharp angle, which will let you descend on a mountain on a narrow path that is positioned either side of a cliffside, which is quite deep, where you will sort of descend back into the forest, and for a further 30 minutes you will trek until you reach a tree side that has a chain attached to it. It requires you to climb up for about 100 meters, which is probably one of the harder aspects of the walk due to the array of ascending and descending and all of this sharp rocks and mud that you've had to deal with on your knees. So once you climb up this mountain, or this tree side, you will have a further 10-minute walk until you meet the lookout, until you reach the lookout. And after all of what you've endured, it is quite spectacular to sort of witness, sit down and eat. And from there, you will have about 1 more hour until you reach the summit. From the lookout, the journey is about a 1 hour trek, which is one of the hardest parts of the entire walk, as once you are descending all the way down, you come across vinyl trees, sharp granite rocks that can be slippery, and by this time your boots are probably really muddy, so please take this part with extra caution, as I will say I slipped twice on my way to the summit. Once you reach the summit, you'll be treated with some of the nicest views you'll ever have. It is quite windy, but it is spectacular, with panoramic views of the land, the mountainside, and the ocean all coming in together. It is one of the coolest lunch spots you'll ever see, and it is definitely a rewarding feeling sitting down and taking in the sights once you have just gone through that slog that you just have. Once you reach the summit, the descent back down is a bit better, though it can be quite tiring on the body, making it easier for you to slip. I will also state quickly that there is one real big hurdle before you get to the summit that you have to be mindful of, which is close to the finish line. It requires you to either jump over or sort of walk down, then back up. So this is definitely the hardest hike that I've done, and you're going to be quite tired once you descend back down to the car park. It is quite hard, yet still rewarding, and I would recommend this track for any keen hikers. It is one that you'll remember, and it is just an awesome feeling being able to complete this hike. Number 1, Pouakai Circuit, Egmont National Park. And so taking my number 1 spot is the Pouakai Circuit track, which can be found in Egmont National Park in New Plymouth. The track offers a different array of hikes, with the longest being the Around the Mountain Circuit track, which takes 3 to 5 days. The Pouakai Circuit is slated to be 2 to 3 days, depending on how you'd like to tackle this track. For me, it took 2 days to complete and was my first ever multiple day hike, with huts to stay the night at being at Holly Hut and Pouakai Hut for $25 each. It should also be noted that at the time of this recording, the Pouakai Hut will be closed for development in February of 2024. Starting at Egmont National Park DOC Visitor Center, you can start the hike in either direction. You could either start by going to Holly Hut first, which is 2 to 3 hours, or you could do the brunt of the hike straight up, which is going to Pouakai Hut, and that is 5 to 7 hours in its entire journey. So be prepared and pack your sleeping bags and essentials. This is going to be one of those slogs again, and personally for me, I decided to get the small parts of the hike out first and leave the Pouakai Hut part back to the DOC for the next day. So the first slog of this hike can be done sort of in 6 hours, 7 hours, depending on your fitness again. But it is amazing. Why this hike takes my top spot is for a multitude of factors: the degree of difficulty, the surrounding landscape, and reflection lake that reflects the beautiful Mount Taranaki is what makes this hike so special and so rewarding, and it is quite multi-layered with the walk. You get a bit of everything, including the amount of steps involved. The hike is quite challenging for that fact is there's just a plethora of steps, both ascending and descending. It will take a toll on your legs. There is probably 20,000 steps involved with this. Lots of people have stated this in forums as well. It is stepception, essentially. So please be mindful of that, as by the end of it, you're going to feel it in your legs. There are some areas where you will climb ladders and have to elevate up steep forest sides, though it will be well worth it when you can watch the sunrise over New Plymouth and watch it through Reflection Lake, one of the most famous spots in New Zealand. It definitely is breathtaking, especially when you can get up early watch that sunrise over New Plymouth, over the sea. It is just beautiful. It is just peaceful tranquility and nature all in once. Looking over snow-covered mountains tops, you can wander through delightful forestry and witness a sunrise like no other, making for an epic memory on your travels and a great photo. So there you have it, my top 10 hikes and walks that I would recommend you guys do in New Zealand, which are ones that I've done myself. Please like and share, subscribe to the channel, and feel free to leave a comment below on not only just hikes in New Zealand, but hikes in general around the world that you would recommend. I will definitely read them and put them on the list, as this is something that I'd like to do over the next foreseeable future. Let's get a sort of discussion going so we can help all of us out. And as always, let me know. Until the next video, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.